All right, good afternoon. Welcome to the noon briefing, and I apologize for being late. We have an update from Pakistan, where, along with our humanitarian partners, we have supported the government's response by providing food aid to 300,000 people and clean water to 55,000 people. Our colleagues have also deployed 14 mobile clinics to provide healthcare services in impacted areas. In addition to this, we have delivered more than 71,000 emergency relief items, including tents, plastic tarpaulins, cooking stoves, blankets, solar lamps, and sleeping mats to refugee and host communities in the country. Over 1.1 million houses have now been damaged or destroyed, and more than 470,000 people are living in camps. UNICEF said today that they estimate that 16 million children have been impacted by the floods, and at least 18,000 schools have been damaged or destroyed across the country. Access continues to be a major obstacle to the delivery of aid and the ability of people to flee their homes to safer locations. In total, over 5,000 kilometers of roads and 243 bridges have been damaged or destroyed. As you are aware, on Tuesday, we launched a flash appeal requesting $160 million to provide assistance to millions of men, women, and children impacted by the floods in Pakistan. In Ukraine, the humanitarian fund managed by the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs has allocated $70 million to kickstart winter assistance and address the needs of people with disabilities, older people, and vulnerable women. This is the fund's largest single allocation since its creation in 2019. Funding goes directly to local civil society organizations and volunteer groups on the front lines. The fund has allocated $118 million so far this year to help 5 million people across Ukraine with food, water, shelter, health interventions, and educational support. We thank our donors for their generous contributions, and we count on their continued support to meet the needs. Today in Yerevan, Armenia, the Assistant Secretary General for Europe, Central Asia, and Americas for the Department of Political and Peacebuilding Affairs, Miroslav Yencha, wrapped up his trip to the South Caucasus. There, he met with government officials, the diplomatic community, civil society, and experts, as well as UN country teams in all three capitals, Baku, Tbilisi, and Yerevan. During his exchanges in Armenia and Azerbaijan, he expressed support for the ongoing peace talks and the high-level meetings in both Moscow and Brussels. He stressed the UN's readiness to step up its support for these efforts should the parties request it. In Georgia, Mr. Yencha discussed the ongoing preparations for the next round of the Geneva international discussions and expressed hope that it will take place as planned in October. Major developments in the region, regional cooperation, the Sustainable Development Goals, and our common agenda, including the proposed Summit of the Future, were discussed in all three capitals. Mr. Yencha underlined the importance of strengthening cooperation between the UN and the countries of the South Caucasus. Our peacekeeping mission in Mali is telling us that its camp in Ber in the Timbuktu region came under attack this morning. A preliminary assessment indicates no casualties, thankfully, but our colleagues say there is significant damage to their facilities. The head of the peacekeeping mission, El-Ghassim Wane, condemned the attack, which demonstrates the ongoing threat posed by terrorist groups to peacekeepers and the communities we serve in Mali. And we have been asked about travel by the personal envoy of the Secretary General for Western Sahara. I can tell you that as part of an ongoing phase of visits to all concerned interlocutors in the region, the personal envoy of the Secretary General for Western Sahara, Staffan de Mistura, is traveling to Tindouf today to meet with the leadership of Frente Polisario. Other regional visits will be announced in due course. As he indicated at the onset of the visits, the personal envoy continues to look forward to deepening the consultations with all concerned on the perspectives to constructively advance the political process on Western Sahara. In doing so, he intends to remain guided by the clear precedents set by his predecessors. And we've also been asked about an attack on a mosque today in Afghanistan. The Secretary General condemns today's attack and conveys his deep condolences to the families of those killed and wishes a prompt recovery to the injured. The right to freedom of religion must be protected at all times. And the Food and Agriculture Organization today said that the world food commodity prices dipped for a fifth month in a row. The FAO Food Price Index averaged 130 points in August, down 1.9% from July, although remaining 7.9% above its value a year before. Notably, the FAO Cereal Price Index decreased by 1.4% from the previous month, a drop driven by a 5.1% decline in international wheat prices that reflected improved production prospects in North America and the Russian Federation, as well as the resumption of exports from the Black Sea ports in Ukraine. More information is online. And I'd like to read into the record that yesterday afternoon, we announced the appointment by the Secretary General of José Manuel Salazar Chirinax of Costa Rica as the Executive Secretary of the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, also known as ECLAC. Mr. Salazar will succeed Alicia Barcena Ibarra of Mexico, to whom the Secretary General is deeply grateful for her commitment and dedicated service to the United Nations. The Secretary General also wishes to extend his appreciation to the Deputy Executive Secretary of ECLAC, Mario Simoli, who will continue to serve as Acting Executive Secretary until Mr. Salazar assumes this position. Mr. Salazar's full bio is on our website. And it gives me great pleasure to end the week with the news that we have 2 fresh payments to the regular budget. Our thanks go to Eswatini and Saudi Arabia, whose checks take us to 122 fully paid up member states. And that is it for me. James, I believe you have a question.
Yes. Yesterday I asked Steph about the Secretary-General's intention to appoint Abdoulaye Bouteflika of Senegal as the new SRSG for Libya. He said it was an open secret that the letter had been sent from the SG to the Security Council, which now have the appointment under a silence procedure until 4:30. But in the meantime, there's been a letter written, which I would like you to confirm that that you received, to the Secretary General from the Libyan ambassador. I quote, "The Government of National Unity is astounded by the said appointment amidst the government's clear reservations shared directly with the Secretary General." Have you received the letter? What is the Secretary General's reaction to that very strong, the word astounded is not one used often in diplomacy, very strong comments from one of the governments in Libya?
On the letter, I honestly cannot confirm whether the SG has seen the letter or not. But what we can tell you, as you've just said, is that the silence procedure is still underway, consultations are still continuing, and until we hear otherwise from the Council, we have no comment on this, on where this procedure is going right now.
But the Secretary General still would like Mr. Bouteflika, as he says in the letter, he would like him to be the special representative. He's not rethinking that. Now one of the key parties in Libya is opposed to him.
As Stefan said yesterday, we have nothing to say until we hear back from the Council.
But doesn't it mean that the new special representative, when he starts his job, is already going to be undermined? Because he's supposed to be mediator between the parties, and the government in Tripoli say they don't want him.
A lot can happen between now and whenever we have a new SRSG, so we don't want to predetermine what will happen between now and then. Yes, Frank.
A quick question about the Secretary General's travels. When do you think during his trip he'll be available to the press in country? During his trip to
Pakistan,
yeah.
You mean? Oh, yes. My understanding is that he will be arriving on the 9th, and I believe his main day of field visits is on Saturday, which, is that the 9th? Yes. So that will be the day. We hope to provide coverage of his visits, and we hope to get that to you as quickly as we can. Thanks. Edie.
Thank you, Mary. 2 questions. First, does the Secretary General have any comment on reports that Russia is going to let an IAEA team remain at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant?
We welcome the ability of of these 2 inspectors to be able to stay at the plant and keep us posted on the developments as they see them from there. I believe the IAEA Director General, Mr. Grossi, will be speaking to the press at 2 o'clock when he lands in Vienna, so we hope to hear more from him then.
And secondly, the Tigray conflict is widening. There have been reports of clashes in western Ethiopia. Is the UN able to do anything either on the aid front or the political front?
Contacts are being held at myriad levels on both the political front and the humanitarian front. As we've said, there are no winners here. Our goal is just to be able to get aid to the people who clearly really need it, and recent developments have not led us in that direction. So we are hoping that more progress can be made soon so that that the aid can reach the people who need it. Yes.
A couple follow-ups on the visit of Mr. de Mistura to the Western Sahara. You mentioned he's traveling, that other regional visits will be announced later. Is this trip part of a regional tour, or is this a standalone visit to the refugee camps?
We hope to have more travels potentially to announce to you in the coming days. So please keep an eye out.
And could you share anything about his program during this visit?
You have exactly what I have.
Okay. And just one final one. Can you report any progress in setting up negotiations between the parties? His predecessor organized several roundtables with the parties. Has Mr. de Mistura been able to get any progress there?
I think, the fact that he's traveling is a positive development. And I think we would like to wait and see at the end of his travels, what comes out of them. But we're hopeful that this is moving in a positive direction. Yes.
Hi, Eric. This is Edward.
Hi.
Hi. There's a second helicopter crashed in Democratic Republic of Congo. Luckily, there's no one really died from this crash. But do you know what the cause might be?
I don't know the cause, but I do know that our peacekeeping colleagues in MONUSCO did help to medevac some of the people, the injured, from the scene, but we will try to ask what the cause of this crash was. Yes.
Nuclear station. Could you comment on this?
We don't have any first-hand accounts of any attacks, but as the Secretary General said at the Security Council, we need to do everything we can to maintain the security around, in and around the plant, and that we hope the parties will continue to do so. Yes. Wait, sorry. I'm going to go there first. Sorry. Hi.
Thank you. Next Tuesday, there will be a Security Council meeting on the attack against the Zaporizhzhia plant. Russia called for it and asked for the SG to be there. Will he be present during this Security Council meeting?
Yes, I can confirm that he will be speaking at the meeting.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Just on a different topic, does the SG have any comment on the assassination attempt against the Argentinian Vice President, Christian Fernandez?
Yes, the Secretary General was shocked at this news. He condemns this violence, and he expresses his solidarity with the Vice President, the government, and the people of Argentina. And I believe Iftikhar has a question?
Yes, Eri, thank you very much. Regarding your readout on the flood situation in Pakistan, could you please tell us how much has been contributed to the UN flash appeal for the victims of the flood?
Sure. Numbers are always fluctuating, but I think the last that we checked, I think so far out of the 160 million, it's something like 2.7 million, but we expect these numbers to change. So we will keep you updated as the days go along.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Any other questions? Okay, great. Have a good rest of the day and enjoy your long weekend. We will see you back here on Tuesday.